just got back from GenCon 2023, and usually I do a top 3 board games of a con video over on my board games channel, but I have 3 card games that I want to talk about. So this is the GenCon 2023 top 3 new card games at GenCon. Hello and welcome to Nelson All Over Cards. Thank you so much for joining, and I am so tired and so excited to talk about some card games that I saw at GenCon. Now, these are going to be kind of brief overviews of 3 new to me card games. They are also new. 2 of them are not out, 1 of them is, but we're going to be talking about these 3 card games, kind of what I like about them and what I'm excited for. I will put timestamps, so if you're curious about specific ones, go ahead and jump to any point in the video to see that. Okay. So, GenCon was a blast. I had so much fun at GenCon. I got to play a lot of games, got to meet a lot of people, and got to play games outside of the card games, got to play a good number of card games, and it's just always a good time. I'm not going to spend too much time on GenCon. I'll probably talk about that a little bit more in my board game video that will be released after this one, but if I remember, I will link it down below in the video description. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into it because I am so excited about these card games that I probably will be a little bit long-winded, and so I want to try and keep this video as condensed as possible, so let's dive into it. These are actually ranked, so I'm going to go ahead and rank these from my least favorite to favorite. That being said, my least favorite, which is Star Wars Unlimited, I don't feel like it's fair to say it's least favorite because I had an absolute blast playing this game. I am a huge Star Wars fan, as you can see, but Star Wars Unlimited is a new trading card game coming from Fantasy Flight Games that should be out next year. So this year they were running demos. They had a couple of demo decks. There was Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker, the classic matchup in Star Wars. And we got to demo this deck. I actually got to play with one of the lead designers, Jay-Z. I did an interview with him. You can find that link to that video right up here in the corner to see a little bit more about the game and a little bit more of the insight. I want to talk about what I liked about the game. So the game was really easy to pick up, which is actually, I think that's a fair statement for 2 of these games. This game was pretty easy. The rule set was very digestible, and I appreciate that because a lot of the strategy and a lot of the tactical decisions came in cards as well as where you wanted to play the cards, which is one of my favorite thing about the gameplay is that there are 2 different sides to each battle. So there's the ground forces unit, and then there are the space units, and you can play your space units in the space side and your ground force unit in the ground side, and they can attack your enemy's same type unit. So ground can fight ground, etc. However, both types of units can attack your base or your opponent's base, which is the victory condition. You want to take out your opponent's base, and the games that we were playing, they were vanilla bases with 30 hit points. First one to destroy their opponent's base wins the game and reigns supreme in the Galactic Empire or Rebel Alliance, whichever one you were going for. I was Vader, so I wanted Empire to win. It was good. It was very, very solid. There was that decision of if I want to play cards in the ground units and then the space units, like I kind of built up this really crazy like ground force, and then Jay-Z just came in and started attacking from the space side, and I had a hard time catching back up. I had spent so much resources and dedicated so much of my time and energy on that ground force that I just kind of completely neglected the space unit. And just having that as a decision, I think will be really fun to play more of and figure out where that balance exactly is. My favorite thing about the game, though, is the deck building. So we didn't get to deck build any of the decks. We have been spoiled some of the cards. FFG is going through some spoiler stuff, which looks really cool now that I know the rules, because I kind of didn't know the rules. I knew of the game. I kind of had some brief understanding of what the game was, but I didn't really know the rules all that much. And then now that I know the rules, I'm reading through some of these cards and they look so epic. But the deck building side of Star Wars Unlimited, you get to put any card that you want into your deck. It does not matter. Any card can go into your deck. However, your leader, which is kind of like the person that you're playing, comes with 2 resource faction types, and then your base comes with a 3rd. And any card that you play during the game that does not match one of those resource types costs 2 extra. And so the implications of deck building for this is pretty significant, because you're going to have these niche cards that are going to be able to, fit that specific situation, and you are willing to pay 2 more for that card. Or if you just don't find yourself in that situation for a given game, you can resource it, because any card in this game can be a resource. Play it face down into your resource pool, and then you can use those to exhaust them in order to generate resources for future card plays. I thought it was really good. I love the theme. I thought it was really good. I love the theme. I really liked the card play. It was snappy. It was action. I take an action. You take an action. I take an action. So it was back and forth. And the gameplay is going to be pretty quick. And so I'm really looking forward to this coming out in 2024. That is Star Wars Unlimited. There will be more information down in the video description if you want to check more out about that. But let's hop into number 2, which is a game that is out. It came out at Gen Con, and the only reason I think that this is above Star Wars Unlimited for me right now, this is Disney Lorcana, is the fact that we have product in our hands today. I think if we had product for both of these games, I would have flipped both of these games in my tier ranking for Gen Con. But the fact that we have Lorcana, I've seen more of the cards, I've seen more of the depth of the game, it puts it just ahead of Star Wars Unlimited in my excitement level. That being said, ask me again in a year, right? So Disney's Lorcana was the craze of Gen Con this year. It was chaotic. People were waiting in line for 16 hours. They started opening the line at 6 p.m. the previous day for sales starting at 10 a.m. the next day. I mean, people were crazy about this game. I was in that crazy rush on Thursday, and that's a whole other story that I'm not really going to get into. But then I did go back at 6:45 in the morning to stand in line for Disney Lorcana on Saturday. I checked out at 11:30, and now I have product. I got the starter kits, I got 2 booster boxes, and I've been slowly opening all of the little boosters as like a little reward for myself whenever I complete a task. So once I finish editing this video, I'm probably going to open a booster pack. But the theme of this game is Disney, and that's going to draw a lot of people in, and it drew me in because I'm a huge fan of Disney, as well as it is a fairly light TCG. The idea behind this game is to get people involved with TCGs. They want it to be a very approachable TCG for newer players, and they nailed it. I think that the rule set is fairly simple. You can do any action on your turn in any order, and you are limited to inking a card, which is putting a card from your hand face down as a resource once per turn. But other than that, you can do any actions in any order until it's your next turn. And that simplicity, as well as the base that they have built, I think where we are now, the rule set is fairly simple. And if you are a heavy card gamer, I don't know how much this is actually going to appeal to you, but they have built a fantastic base that in wave 2, 3, 4, and so on, I think we're going to get some really rich gameplay in Disney's Lorcana because of what they have done in that base level rule set. I also really appreciate that they are targeting this towards players that are and maybe new to the hobby, because it's a very easy game to pick up and learn. The theme is very approachable, and I hope that this stands, because if we can get some cool tournaments going on and that the organized play is supported for this and it's not just hoarded by collectors, I think we're in for a real treat, because Disney Lorcana is going to be really fun. That brings me to my top card game. Well, actually, it is my top game of Gen Con as well, and that is Altered by Equinox. And this is a new game that was been talked about a little bit at Gen Con. It was a private event that they were coming and showing this game off, which is expected to hit Kickstarter early 2024. This is another trading card game with just the most astounding art. I probably will be having some art on the screen right now, and it is amazing to look at. The idea of this game, the theme of this game, is that the imagination world and the real world has kind of bridged, and there was an event that had this bridge, and so you're working on this track, and the idea or the hope is to get your familiar that starts in the imagination world and your hero that starts in the real world, and once they meet along this path, you win the game. And so it's another game that is not I need to destroy you and kill you in order to win, but it is a game that it is a little bit of this race. Now, same kind of idea as Unlimited, where there are 2 lanes and you are playing and trying to win the battle of the current terrain that you're in. So if you are currently in forest, every single card has power in forest, mountains, and water, and you are going to play cards into either your familiar side or your hero side, and then at the end of the round you will compare the value, and if you exceed your opponent's power in the current terrain that you're in, for say if I had 5, my opponent had 3, I would get to move 1 space on the track. Or like your hero and your familiar can only move 1 space each round, but if you can get them to both move, you're gonna be in good position to win. What's cool is they don't have to meet in the middle. You can have one never move and run your familiar all the way over to your hero. That is totally fine. After the round is over, all cards leave play, which is also kind of crazy for a TCG or a card game. All cards leave play, but you can choose to retain up to 2 of those cards in your memory. Those are face-up cards on the table that are now in your memory, and you can play these cards from your memory with a different cost. I said discounted because the faction that I was playing had discounted cost from memory, but there's going to be 2 values on the card. There's a cost from the hand and a cost from memory. And whenever you play this card from your memory, you can activate any win memory effects. And then my hero specifically, whenever I played a card from my memory, I could exhaust my hero in order to activate their win played from hand effects as well. And so once they do that, they become fleeting and they are discarded at the end of the round, but it is a really cool system to kind of bring some of your more powerful units back into play multiple times. The gameplay is fantastic. The art is phenomenal. But the most exciting thing about this game for me is the fact that they are building an entire app that this entire game lives within. And so this is where I'm gonna try and keep this concise because I get so excited about this and I start talking a lot. But the app, what you do is when you open a pack, every single card is going to have a QR code on the card. You can rapid scan those cards. They did, I think it's a 13 card pack. They did it in like 5 seconds. So it's not going to be a laborious task to sit there and scan all your cards. It's kind of a quick rapid scan that they just kind of swiped over and scanned all their cards, loads them into the app, and now you have digital ownership over that card. What that means is there are a lot of implications behind this, but I need to have digital ownership of a card in order to play in a tournament. And because all the tournaments are going to be hosted within the app, you have full historical data on your performance in tournaments, as well as opponent's deck list, as well as pretty much any info that you need going back. The cooler part is that they have set up print-on-demand factories around the world. They've partnered with print-on-demand factories so that if you need another copy of your card gets ripped or something, you can just order it right from the app and they'll ship it to your front door. Or if you want to build 5 different decks that all use the same card, you can order 5 copies, build these decks, and never need to deconstruct a deck ever. Also, if I trade a card, say I trade a card to you and you live in France, you speak French, I can trade the card to you, you can print it in French. So it's cross-lingual as well. So the implications here are pretty insane. It takes out all of the PSA ratings. You don't need mint conditions. If you step on a card, it's not the end of the world. You have ways to protect your cards just in a digital format. Okay, so yeah, it's so cool. Foiling is really cool because foil cards and QR codes don't really like each other. They get a little upset when you try and scan a QR code that's foiled. It doesn't like that. And so what they're doing is like a pull rate of like 1 in 4 packs. They have a foiled card, which you can scan into your app and then apply that foil to any card in your collection. The entire family is foiled, and we'll talk about families here in a second. And then you can have that card printed and shipped to you. They were saying, and they're still working on the logistics around the cost, but the worst case scenario is if you print a single card, it's going to cost you about $1. And so if you print more cards, if you print 50 cards, obviously that cost per card is going to be lower. And so I'm really excited to see a little bit more, but they are hitting Kickstarter in early 24. Now let's talk about the families, which if that wasn't already crazy enough, if that was not already cool enough, the families I think is the last little bit of this game that I am super thrilled about. And that is the fact that every single card has 3 levels of rarity. So there's the common version of the card, there's the rare version of the card that is in the same faction, and I don't quite remember what the factions are called. I think they are called factions. And then there's a mercenary unit, which is the same unit but in one of the other 5 factions of the game. So you have 2 in the same, 1 as a mercenary, and so you can play them all faction. This is a mono faction game as of now. You choose one faction. Then the 3rd level of rarity card is called an altered card, which is the namesake of the game. And this is a 1-of-1 unique, algorithmically generated unique card. That is so cool. So every single one of these altered cards, which is a pull rate about 1 in every 8 packs, will be unique to you. And now they are still working on how many of these altered cards you can include in a deck makeup. The deck is about 40 card size, so they are limiting the number of these altered cards as well as rare cards, and then you fill out with commons. And so that's the way that you're not just gonna have a 40 card altered deck, but you will never play the same deck against another player. So when you go to a tournament, every single person there is going to have a unique deck, and every single time you sit down at the table, you're going to have a different experience with a different player. And like, the difference could be faction based, the difference could be stat based, the difference could be effect based, the cost based. All of these are generated. They have put in limitations on making sure that they're not just absurdly OP altered cards out there, but now you have a 1-of-1 card, and it comes in 1 in every 8 packs, so it's a fairly decent pull rate to get one of these altered cards. And now you own this card, and you can use it and trade it inside their digital marketplace for whatever card you want to help make your deck work. I am really excited about Altered. I don't know if that comes across or not, but I am thrilled. I think it's such a cool idea. I'm really excited to see more of it. The gameplay was phenomenal. The app is very ambitious, and if it works, it's going to be game-changing. There are so many good things about this game, and I am really pumped to hit that pledge button on Altered in early 2024. I think it was late February, early March in 24 is the current launch date. And I think they are planning on printing and shipping that same year. So we probably should get product next year, which is really exciting. So those were the top 3 card games of Gen Con for me. We had Star Wars Unlimited, Disney's Lorcana, and then Altered. Those are the 3 fantastic games. There's more info down below if you are curious about it. I will be doing a review maybe, but like first review on Disney's Lorcana in the channel here soon. I want to get in a couple more games. I've only played it I don't know, 7 times or so, and I want to get more gameplays so I can give a more well-rounded review before I start talking about it a little bit more. But just know it's going to be a good review. I enjoy the game. But those are my top 3. I hope you enjoyed the video. I had a lot of fun making it. I had a lot of fun at Gen Con. Let me know what your thoughts are on any of these games down in the comments, and I look forward to talking with you about them. I will see you around. Peace.